Forget everything you know about weight loss. Despite just about every person on the internet being a weight loss expert, 3/4 of our population is still overweight or obese, struggling to figure it out, and they're presented with these ideas that are always about restricting yourself too much or tricking the body with all these kinds of hacks. Today I've got 15 of my Well Your World weight loss rules that will definitely lead you to success. This is everything you need to know about weight loss. This will get it done and in a sustainable way that you can apply to your life in the long term, not just some short-term diet. Are you ready? Number 1 is eat according to calorie density. This is a big picture topic that I discuss on the channel a lot, but all it means is eat as much volume of food as you can, but the fewest number of calories. I want you to remain full and satisfied throughout the day, but not eating a ton of calories to get there. Now, the standard American diet is full of calories. For every meal that you eat, you're going to be getting way too many calories in. So after 3 meals and a few snacks, you're eating way too many calories. There's no way to lose weight. In fact, you're most likely gaining weight on a standard American diet because it is full of very rich foods. When you're trying to lose weight the standard American way, it's always about portion control or mindful eating or everything in moderation or, a point system so that you can eat all the foods you're used to eating, but just way less of it, and you're gonna feel very unsatisfied. You're gonna feel like you're restricting and you're hungry all the time. That is no way to live. We've got to get you full and satisfied and losing weight, and yes, calorie density will help you do that. All you've got to do is focus on the more calorie dilute foods, the foods where a bite of food has a smaller number of calories in it. This will pretty much eliminate the need to ever control portions or to restrict or to count your calories or any of that. I want you to just live a natural lifestyle where you don't have to be thinking about what you're going to eat and how much you're going to eat of it. We don't think about what we're eating at all. We just have a simple set of rules, the ones I'm going to go through with you today. We follow those rules and it just works. Stay tuned because I'm obviously going to elaborate on the foods that you should be eating as much as possible, but first I want to keep telling you about what to eliminate from your diet, which takes us to rule number 2, eliminate animal foods. This would be meat, fish, fowl, dairy products, and eggs. You don't want to be eating animal products because they're very calorie dense. They're full of fat. Everybody always loves to lump all of these meats into the protein category. What protein would you like to add to your meal today? Well, it should be what saturated fat do you want to add to your meal today, because that's what they are. These are high fat foods, high calorie density like I was talking about before, and we're always going to be overeating on them. Yes, humans are omnivores. Our natural history, we ate some meat, but it was pretty scarce. We lived in an environment where it was hard to get meat in the diet. Now we can get it at every meal and at every snack, and it's way too much. So yeah, if you can limit your meat to a very, very small amount, then okay, but almost nobody can actually do that. Eating in moderation is very difficult because as soon as you have one bite, you just want to go and go and go, and the meat portions get larger and more frequent in your meals, and now we're overweight. Number 3 is to eliminate the added oils in your food and your cooking. I know we're all on this no seed oil train now. It's become really popular, and that's great. It's a step in the right direction, and you should definitely eliminate seed oils, but you should eliminate all of the oils. The coconut oil, the olive oil, the flaxseed oil, all of the oils are pure fat. They're just fat. So if you're working on weight loss, you should eliminate all the oils. You should water saute instead of cooking with oil. It's very easy and sustainable to eat a diet that doesn't have added oils. A lot of people push back and they're like, well, if you're eating nuts, that has oil in it. I'm not talking about those oils. I'm talking about the oils that are extracted from a whole food like coconut or like olives or whatever, and then they're put back and added into foods. That's what I'm talking about. Obviously, pretty much all foods have at least some amount of fat in them. I want you to get to a low-fat diet, but I'm not saying that you're just going to eat 0 fat. I'm saying let's eliminate the added fats that are easy to take out, like oils. Just eat an olive if you want olives and you think there are health benefits there. Eat some flax seeds if you think that the flaxseed oil is super healthy. It all comes from a whole food, so just eat the whole food and you'll definitely be taking in fewer calories in the process. My number 4 rule for weight loss would be to eliminate the high-fat plant foods. These are the foods that we would otherwise consider very healthy foods. I eat them in my diet, but if you're working on weight loss, it's best to get rid of nuts, seeds, avocado, soy products like tofu, tempeh, edamame. Those are foods that are whole natural foods, but they've got a lot more calories from fat. olives, coconut. These kinds of foods are not unhealthy foods, but they are much higher in fat, so you want to dramatically reduce them or probably eliminate them altogether if you're going for maximum weight loss. These high-fat plant foods are great for adding flavor to a healthy meal, but like I said, they add a lot of calories. We might like to make a sauce that's blended with cashews for creaminess, or we might drizzle on a little tahini on top of our food. Although they're whole natural foods where nothing has been removed or extracted from them, they are very high in calories, they're high in fat. So you want to eliminate those if you're working on weight loss. Rule number 5 would be to eliminate highly processed foods and flour products. Highly processed foods would be like all of the fake plant-based items like Impossible Burgers and the fake cheeses and all that. These are almost always going to have the added oils, so we already took those out. But they can trick people up into thinking that because it says plant-based on the packaging at the store, it must be a healthy product. Well, it's not. Most of these scientific products out there that are made to mimic meat or eggs or all of that are not healthy products. They are not going to help you with weight loss. As far as flour products, these can be whole foods, but they're dried, so they're going to be more calorie dense. You've taken out the water, which has no calories, but does have weight. If you take that out of the food, you're left with these highly concentrated foods that taste better, and they're going to be higher in calorie density. Our taste buds are designed to go after the richest food in our environment. The food that is going to taste the best in our taste buds is the food that leads us to store as much fat on our body as possible, because we evolved in a world where food was very scarce. We spent all day trying to make sure that we ate enough food to stay alive. It doesn't work like that anymore. Now everybody has hacked the food to make it so hyper palatable and delicious that we just can't eat anything else. So you've got to eliminate these really rich products like all of the breads, bagels, cakes, cookies, cupcakes, and muffins, all of that stuff. These are flour-based products. Even pastas can be a problem. Now, whole wheat pasta, for example, is much lower in calorie density than, say, crackers and cookies and muffins and bread and bagels, but it still is a flour product, and it's still going to be a little bit more concentrated than just eating whole natural, what I like to call wet starches, right? Like potatoes and beans and rice. These are all like the natural wet kind of starches. One thing I love are those single ingredient puffed cereals like the puffed corn, the puffed rice. I'm not talking about cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs with all the added sugar and all the kids cereal box stuff. I'm talking about just those little bags of single ingredient puffed cereals. Those can be great. They can be a perfectly healthy part of a well-balanced whole food diet. The problem is because they're dried out, they're going to be more calorie dense, and you're going to want to probably go back for 2-3 bowls of this because all the water's it's not going to take up as much space in your belly because the water's been taken out, so you can fit more of it and you're eating way more calories. So stick to oatmeal, for example, which is a wet starch. You're only going to be able to eat like 1 bowl of oatmeal and you're going to be full for quite a while. You're going to be full and energized because our body's main fuel is whole starches. Carbs, but not all the carbs that we all consider carbs, which is all these like processed foods like the cookies and all that. Carbs are not the problem. Carbs are not the thing that's causing you to gain weight. It's eating highly processed carbs that is the problem. So let's talk for a minute before we go on to the other rules about what foods you should eat. Now, I eat from just a few simple categories, okay? I call them food groups, though your old health science textbooks from elementary school, these are not those food groups, okay? My first category of amazing, wonderful foods that you should be eating every day would be non-starchy vegetables. This would just be carrots and celery, onion, garlic, all of the herbs and spices, and bell pepper and zucchini, eggplant, all the greens like kale and romaine lettuce and bok choy and collard greens. Those kinds of foods are non-starchy veggies. They add amazing nutrition to your diet. That's where you're going to get a lot of nutrients, and they add variety. Category number 2 of eating would be fruit, whole fruit. Don't eat the dried fruit if you're looking at weight loss, because that's going to be more where the water's been taken out, so you can fill up way more on those. Dried mango, for example, is like my kryptonite, okay? But you can eat way more of it because the water's been taken out than you would a whole, wet, sloppy mango. So focus on fruit that is in its whole natural form. That's going to be the healthiest. Don't overdo it on fruit. It's a great snack. Don't totally go hog wild on fruit because it is very sugary, but fruit, perfectly healthy for weight loss. Food group number 3 would be where I get the bulk of my calories, and you should too. That would be what I call starches. Yes, these are carbs, but I don't like that word because it scares people. This would be potatoes, all kinds of potatoes, sweet potatoes, russet potatoes, you name it. It would be legumes, all kinds of beans and lentils and split peas, amazing healthy foods. Then you've got whole grains like oatmeal, brown rice, quinoa, amazing, millet, all of the whole grains, or barley and rye and whatever if you like to cook with those things. But those are where we get the bulk of our calories, is from potatoes, the legumes, and the whole grains. There is nothing to fear from whole grains. If you have a sensitivity to something like wheat, then of course you can remove those things from your diet. This thing where we got people writing whole books about how grains are hurting your body, it is not true. Whole grains can be a perfectly healthy part of a well-balanced diet. So if weight loss is your goal, those are the 3 categories of foods that you should eat. I have a 4th category that I already talked to you about, the nuts and seeds and things that add flavor. That's another category that's perfectly healthy, but again, eliminate those if weight loss is your goal. Let's move on now to rule number 6 for weight loss, would be to reduce your sugar intake. There are a couple reasons why sugar is problematic. One, sugar itself is more calorie dense. For any bite of food that's been sweetened with sugar, you're getting more calories than if you didn't. So be mindful of the fact that sugar is simply in itself more calories in a bite of food. The other issue with sugar is that it makes the food taste good, and when it tastes too good, you're gonna eat a lot more of it. Like I said, our taste buds are designed to have us go after the sweeter foods because they gave us more calories when calories were scarce out in the world. But now our scientists have gone after, they've found ways to dry the food, to extract the sugar from sugar cane or what have you, and then put it into all the other foods to make them taste better. The problem is, this is gonna cause us to overeat. That's the real problem. Sugar is both calorie dense, like I said, but it causes you to overeat. You could have a perfectly healthy bowl of food, but when sugar's added to it, you're gonna wanna go back for seconds and thirds and on, and that is the problem with sugar. It doesn't allow you to stop eating when you're actually full and satisfied. Rule number 7 is to reduce or eliminate your salt intake. Don't confuse salt with sodium. All whole foods have some sodium. You can get all the sodium that your body needs to survive and thrive from whole natural foods. But if you want to sprinkle on a little bit of salt on top of your food, no problem, but I just would encourage you to keep it to a minimum. And most of the time, by the way, if you're adding the salt yourself, it's probably already kept to a minimum. The problem is when you start to go and buy all the foods from restaurants and packaged foods, they have so much more salt. If all those foods were sold in a package and the salt was in a little packet on the side, you would be appalled by how much salt they're putting into this food you're eating. You would never add that much salt to your food yourself. What is the problem with salt? Well, there's no calories in salt. So why is it making me fat? Well, it's the same thing as the sugar. Even though salt has no calories, it's making the food taste good, which is sending you back to the pot to refill and refill and refill. And if you're underweight, it can actually be helpful to add a little bit of salt because it encourages you to go eat more food. But that's not what we're talking about today. Eating excess salt can have other problems. We can talk about that in other videos, like the fact that it elevates your blood pressure, etc. But the real problem here as it relates to weight loss is that salt makes the food taste too good because we have a taste bud in our mouths, once again, that goes after salt. So you're gonna seek the saltiest food if you can. Add the salt yourself or eliminate the added salt altogether and you will absolutely thrive. We sell tons of healthy, low-fat, convenience food products that are completely free of added salt, oil, and sugar. Why? Because this is the way to control your weight, and those extra things like the salt and the sugar, add a little bit yourself and you'll be able to keep it in control. Rule number 8 for weight loss, don't drink your calories. These would be like the Starbucks drinks, the Frappuccinos and the Mochachinos and the Shakerados and the Chinabinos. You need to take all that stuff out. It is full of calories, full of sugar, full of junk, and you're gonna consume it in like a moment's time. If I drink one of those things, man, they are gone in 4.5 minutes and it's bad. Soda pop, full of calories, don't drink it. Don't even drink the diet version because it's telling you that this is okay, and besides, there are tons of chemicals and unhealthy foods in the diet version, even though they say that there are no calories in that, it's no good. Other things would include smoothies, even the healthy fruit smoothies with greens and berries and strawberries and bananas. That stuff is, again, you're drinking your calories, it's gonna go down fast, and it's not going to replace something that you would eat. You might eat a banana and some fruit and then have a smoothie. You're not usually gonna do one or the other, so the smoothie is just extra calories. Get rid of it. Fruit juices like orange juice and lemonade, those kinds of foods obviously are problematic, but even just healthy juices that you make aren't great for weight loss because they still are full of calories. You know, very healthy juices would include, like if you have your own juicer and you make like carrot, apple juice with greens and ginger and things like that. Still, you're drinking your calories. If weight loss is your goal, just go drink water, okay? Or some very simple herbal teas. Or go eat the berries and the things that you were gonna put into your smoothie. This is going to definitely result in weight loss. If you're eating all of that kale and the berries and the bananas, you're going to be in a lot better shape than if you just drink them down lickety-split. Of course, alcohol is also a drink that is totally full of calories. Cocktails, even a shot of plain old liquor is very full of calories, so that is not gonna help you. And I'm gonna talk more about drugs in general a little bit later in this video. These first 8 rules are really these core guidelines for how to eat and not eat for weight loss. But I've got 7 more rules, and these are gonna be more like habit-based and a little bit, they're not hacks because I don't like hacks, but they're kind of tips and tricks to apply the first 8 rules in the best way possible that will lead to the best weight loss that you can achieve. Which brings me to rule number 9, start each meal with something that is very low in calorie density. This would be like a soup, a salad, or a piece of fruit. The reason for this is because you're gonna start your meal with an empty stomach, presumably, which means you're gonna wanna get stuffed. You wanna take up as much space with those foods that are from that first category of foods first, the non-starchy veggies, all the things you would put in a salad, get that in first. Then you wanna focus on maybe a little bit of fruit, and then on to your whole starches that are the richest foods out of the 3. So you've taken up a lot of space with the least amount of calories, which leaves the less amount of space for everything else. So that makes intuitive sense. You're gonna fill up, you're gonna feel satisfied, and it's gonna be the least amount of calories possible. Rule number 10 sort of goes hand in hand with rule number 9, and it is to take a plate of food and make sure half of it is full of non-starchy veggies, all the food from that first food group category that I talked about. That could be roasted vegetables with a little sauce on some sort on top, you name it, and then the other half is like potatoes and gravy, mashed potatoes and gravy, or some chili or something like that that's full of beans and all the starchy foods. If you've already done the meal sequencing and you've already had a salad and those low calorie density foods, I don't want you to finish your meal and feel unsatisfied, like you haven't gotten enough actual calories to feel full of energy and satiated and ready to take on the day, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like one or the other, but a really good technique for filling up your plate is to make sure in general that about half of it is those non-starchy veggies. Rule number 11 is to get some exercise, but don't go crazy and lose your mind in the gym. This is one of the biggest misconceptions as it relates to weight loss. People think that the only way they're gonna lose weight is to go absolutely nuts in the gym, get a gym membership, get a CrossFit membership, do high intensity interval training all the time. You don't have to do these things. For most people, especially if you have lots of weight to lose, this is as simple as go for a 30-minute walk in your neighborhood most days, okay? If you have an animal, that's easy. You gotta walk your dog, cool. But you wanna get at least a little bit of exercise in your daily routine. A lot of people think that if you run 10 miles, you're gonna burn 10 times as many calories as if you run 1 mile. It doesn't work that way. There is a law of diminishing returns with exercise. You cannot outrun your mouth. Just because you ate 200 calories of Oreo cookies does not mean you can go on the bike and do 200 calories on the little screen, on the little display that says you've burned 200 calories. No, you have not. It does not work that way. These are not the same kind of calories, or however you want to think about it. It's false information. Get some exercise so that you're at least at that minimum baseline of calorie burn and you're working toward a healthy, active lifestyle. Of course, the more just generally active you are in your lifestyle, the better the weight loss is going to happen for you, and the more easily you're going to maintain your weight too when you get to that goal weight. So make sure that you're always working to add a little bit more movement and what we would broadly call exercise to your life, okay? But you don't need to go crazy in the gym. You don't need to get all this equipment and crazy stuff. It's so sad when I see that people are like they just go about eating their regular diet and they think they just need to exercise a ton. It does not work that way. That's why I have exercise as rule number 11, not rule number 1. Rule number 12 for weight loss is to make sure you're getting some sleep. The only way that you're going to be able to make all of the decisions necessary from the rules that I've already given to you is if you're in a normal, comfortable, sleep-satiated state. You need to feel like you're not about to give in to the caffeine addiction or what have you. You're always going to make worse decisions if you're not getting good sleep. And yes, sleep I think also has a direct impact on weight loss, because when you're sleeping is when your body is resetting, you're digesting, you're doing all these things are happening during the sleep process that are very important. And if you're neglecting that, then what are you doing while you're awake too? The more hours you're awake, the more likely it is is you're going to be eating more. So get your full 8 hours, take full advantage of that, feel rested, feel like you're ready to take on the day when you get up, and you're gonna find that you make the best decisions as it relates to weight loss that you possibly can if you're going into the day feeling energized and ready. Rule number 13 for weight loss is to avoid the drugs. This would include alcohol, THC, nicotine, even caffeine, because these drugs lead you to making poor decisions. Crystal meth can be great for weight loss, but it's not healthy. Don't do it. These things are still going to lead you down a path of inconsistent lifestyle choices in general, and with that, almost always is going to come weight gain. If someone tells you that you need to eliminate this food forever, the amount of how upset you are over it will tell you if you're addicted to that food or not, or that drug or not. Try a month without them. Give yourself a little bit of time to reestablish that baseline, get to know who you are, and see how much easier it is to adhere to these healthy lifestyle choices, these healthy diet choices especially, that we've talked about in the first part of this video. Rule number 14 for weight loss is don't stuff yourself and don't starve yourself. Let's talk about starving first. You know, this intermittent fasting thing has become really popular, and it can be a perfectly healthy and reasonable way to lose weight, but if you're forcing it, it's gonna be more problematic. It's gonna lead you down a path of like binging and restricting and binging and restricting. In our own human psychology that we all collectively share, as long as we go a while without food, we're gonna wanna get as much food as we can all of a sudden after that. So it's gonna be, that's the binging and the restricting, binging and restricting. So you wanna try to find your own body's natural intermittent fasting desires. For example, me, I don't really like breakfast. I've never been hungry at breakfast time. My first meal is like somewhere around 12 or even 2 o'clock before I start to notice that, oh, I should probably go eat something. I'm feeling hungry. Now, I'm not saying you should be just like me, but I'm saying that you should tap into your own body's intermittent fasting rather than setting a set of rules like only being able to eat for 6 hours a day, which can cause this binge restrict thing. It can be just simply too restrictive. Stuffing, don't stuff yourself silly. Give yourself time between refills, okay? Eat a bowl of stew. Give yourself a little time for your body to start to digest. When your body begins to digest, it tells you how hungry you still are. So if you slow down the eating process, your body's gonna react a little bit better and tell you if you're full so that you're not overeating, okay? So slow it down. Don't get completely stuffed. I mean, that one's self-explanatory. If you stuff yourself silly because you like the flavor, you can see how that could lead to getting more calories than you need, and it's not gonna help you with weight loss. Rule number 15 is that there are no rules about what a meal is to you or how often you do it. You can have 3 big meals a day, you can have 6 little meals a day. This whole thing where we're like have to keep our metabolism going all day in order to make weight loss, blah, blah, no. Don't worry about all of that. A meal to you can be more elaborate, it can be simple. For me, meals are very simple. I have found that for me and all the content we make on this channel is about making it fast, easy, and totally not complicated at all. So what that means for me is meals have become very, very simple. It could be steamed broccoli, a baked potato, cheese sauce drizzled on top, a meal of roasted vegetables, mashed potatoes, gravy on top. It's starchy, it's got some veggies in there, it's filling, boom, a meal. You need to find the way of eating that works for your lifestyle. Assuming that your lifestyle and your routine and your work life and all of this is healthy and balanced, that's important, but then you need to work around that to create the system that's going to work for you day in and day out. Common advice that you're getting out there on the internet is that in order to lose weight, you've got to restrict, you've got to count calories, you've got to pretty much lose your mind with all of these techniques and hacks. I don't want you to live that life. It is not a sustainable way of losing weight, and you never really feel well you feel like you have no energy and that you're starving yourself all the time. You can achieve weight loss while feeling full and satisfied at every meal. Follow these rules and subscribe to the Well Your World channel so that you don't miss that protein video I just promised you and various other videos about healthy, sustainable diet and lifestyle. See you on the next one. Bye.